listen, just do this for me. Pat yourself on the back. Just go ahead. I need to see it. You came to church on the coldest day in the world. There's never been a colder day than there is right now, okay? It's so cold. I'm wearing socks. I don't wear socks, people, okay? But look, can you see them? Gray, the pattern. Anyway, hey, I'm really glad that you're here, and I know it's cold, and maybe you don't know this about our church, but we have a lot of snowbirds in our church, people who live down in Florida during the winter, and they're watching online right now, and we are so happy for you that you're in Florida. No, but we have a lot of people who live in Florida over the winter, and they watch online, and they all tell me when they're back up from Florida, when like spring comes, they're like, Joe, we need a church down in Florida. Like, let's just start a Bay Shore, Florida campus. And I'm like, do not tempt me. Because if Florida needs a missionary, Lord, send me, okay? I will go. But we love that you guys are online, and we love that you guys, some of you are here for the first time in the building on this cold day. I met somebody in the first service who their church locally was not meeting this morning, so they're like, we just drove to your church. And so we're super psyched to have anybody who maybe your church isn't meeting today, but you're here with us today, and maybe you didn't find us that way, but you're here. Thanks for being here. And you regulars, you know how I feel about you. You're the best. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming back. I am a kid who was born in 1982. So I'm curious, where are the old people that were around in the 1980s? You were either born in the 80s or you were around for them. Okay, there we go. Listen, my opinion, I think the 80s was the best decade there was. Come on, I mean, in the 80s, if you were a kid, your mom would give you Cheese Whiz in an aerosol can, and she didn't even know that was bad. Health wasn't invented in the 80s. You used to go to McDonald's, and you didn't even feel bad about it. Now we go and we feel bad, but not in the 80s. And in the 80s, I think the 80s had the best TV shows. MacGyver, The A-Team, American Gladiator. Am I talking to anybody in the room? Come on. Everything was like on TV. It was like big hair and explosions. All right. And so great shows in the 80s. Now, one small problem. I'm a preacher's kid, which meant we were not allowed to watch any of those shows in my house. Okay. In my house, I had to go to Kurt's house to watch good TV. But in my house, my mom, all she wanted to watch was the Andy Griffith Show, or the Waltons, or I Love Lucy. Come on. You know who does not love Lucy? Me, okay? I wanted to go to Kurt's house and watch Laser and Blazer and American Gladiator. Instead, I'm watching Lucy and Ethel in black and white. But it was worse in my grandparents' house. My grandparents' favorite show was The People's Court with Judge Wapner. Come on. They love that show. And if they weren't watching that show, they were talking about another show that was way before my time. I've never even seen it. We'll put a picture up on the screen. Kids Say the Darndest Thing with Art Linkletter. Some of you are having like a nostalgic moment right now. But Kids Say the Darndest Things. Listen, that's reality TV, isn't it? I mean, parents, how many of you, your kid has ever said something that embarrassed you before? Let me see your hands. If you're not raising your hand, you're not a parent. Maybe you've heard me say this before or tell this story, but years ago, my boy Nixon was about 5 years old, and so he was at the age where he said the darndest things, okay? Zero filter. And we were at we were having our Christmas family get together, and there were some family members there that Nixon had barely ever seen, maybe never even seen before. And I don't know how to say this without sounding like a terrible person, but there's a person in my family who has eyebrows they're a real situation. There's a lot happening up there. I'm not judging. They're just like, they're a focal point. And so I see Nixon, who has no filter. I see him see these eyebrows, and everything went into slow-mo because he was like, and I'm like in slow-mo, like, no, but I couldn't stop him. And Kids Say the Darndest Thing. So Nixon was like, are your eyebrows real? Is anybody seeing this? Do you paint them on with a Sharpie? My parents won't let me use a Sharpie. Like, he just went off, and I'm like, I am so sorry. He takes after his mother, No, he kind of takes after me, because like every kid said some crazy things. But when I was also 5 years old, just like Nixon, when he said that, my family has a story they always tell about me. Some people had given my parents these lobsters for our family to eat. So we had these lobsters in our refrigerator. Now, just so you know, growing up, we didn't have any money for lobsters. Like, I had never even seen a lobster in person until they were in my fridge. And so, like, we were so broke, if a burglar came in our house, we would have helped the burglar look for money. Like, hey, is there money here? Help us. We'll find it for you. All right. So I did not even really know what a lobster was. So all day long, we got these lobsters in the fridge. And I'm opening the door, and I'm looking at these lobsters. And my parents are like, oh, poor kid, he's never seen a lobster before. He's just like fascinated with this lobster. So I'm all day just opening up the fridge, looking at this lobster. And finally, I open up the fridge, and I said what I was thinking the whole time. My parents didn't know what I was thinking, but I said out loud, and this is how the story goes. I said to the lobster, do you see me? Because think about a lobster, he got these buggy eyes. And so I wasn't sure the whole time. I'm like, does this lobster see me? I don't know. He's not really moving, but he kind of looks like he's looking at me. I don't know if he's looking at me. And then we ate him, and he was delicious. And he couldn't see me after that, I'll tell you that. But I tell you that story because I think sometimes in our life, we're like, does anybody see me? Do you see me? And so let's just do a poll, okay? How many of you have ever felt at any point overlooked in your life? Just raise your hand if you ever felt overlooked in your life, okay? In the 80s, we called that an all skate at the skating rink, okay? We've all felt like that. We've all felt overlooked at work. We've all felt overlooked at home, okay? Like at work, maybe you're like crushing it. You're just working as hard as you can, and nobody is saying to you like, hey, man, I see you getting it done over there. Like your boss isn't saying that, or maybe you come home after your thankless job. You've been working for 80 hours the week, and then you come home and you make dinner for your family, and nobody in your family says, hey, this dinner is delicious. Thank you, Dad. These are the best hot dogs I've ever had in my life. And we're like 5-year-old Pastor Joe, like, does anybody see me? Do you see me? Okay. And so I think that happens to us sometimes. We're like, does anybody see me? Or is it just this lobster in the fridge with eyes looking at me? And so I showed up today on the coldest day of the winter, probably, to just remind you that somebody sees you. God sees you. He sees you. He sees you at work. He sees you at home. He sees that delicious hot dog dinner you've been making for your family. He sees you even if you're in a dark place, even in a dark basement right now, because he sees who you are. He sees where you are, and he sees where you are going. That's who God is. Isn't that good news? Doesn't that make you feel a little bit better? So we're in this series right now called Introducing God, and if you've not been with us during this series, no worries. All we're doing is we're looking at the good book, and we're looking at different names that the Bible gives us for God, or introduces us to for God. And sometimes the Bible doesn't say the specific name. It gives us a phrase that then you translate it. It gives you a name for God that tells us a lot about God's character. So far, this is where we've gone, and we'll throw this on the screen. On week 1, we talked about Jehovah Jireh, which means God is our provider. Then 2 weeks ago, I introduced you to Jehovah Rapha, which is a name for God that means God is the one who heals us. Then last weekend, we were all looking out our windows at the snow while it was raining. And I don't know about you, but I shoveled my driveway, the snow, in the rain. And that's the heaviest snow I've ever shoveled in my life. Anybody else? Okay, yeah, next time, come over to my house. I'll have you do mine. Anyway, but today, I want to introduce you to this name for God, El Roy. Everybody say El Roy. All right. Now, I'm from Gumboro. And if you were a redneck when I was growing up in Gumboro, do you know what your name was? Elroy. Hey, Elroy, you got any lobster in your fridge? No, I got muskrats. Okay, like that's... A good old boy was Elroy when I was growing up, okay? But Elroy in the Bible means, and you probably guessed it, it means the God who sees me. The God who sees me. And we get introduced to this name for God by this girl named Hagar in the book of Genesis. And here's the quick backstory. On week 1 of the series, I talked to you about Abraham and Sarah. Everybody say Abraham and Sarah. So Abraham and Sarah was this couple that God made a promise to and said, hey, your family is going to be bigger than the number of stars in the sky. Your family is going to be bigger than the number of sand grains on the seashore, okay? And the problem was, a couple problems. Number 1, they didn't have any kids when they got this promise. The second problem was Abraham and Sarah were old. Like they were rocking that Buick life. They had Werther's Originals in their pockets, you know what I'm saying? Don't you love Werther's Originals? I love them. Anyway, but they didn't have any kids. And so we have, sort of a problem. God made them this promise. And that's when we meet Hagar. And Hagar was actually Sarah's servant. And when we meet Hagar in Genesis chapter 16, she's on the run. She's in a dark place. She's pregnant. She's got no food. She's all alone, and she's trying to run through the desert to get back to Egypt, okay? So she is in a very bad place, but I want to show you how the story ends today before I show you how it starts. So this is Hagar. This is in Genesis 16, verse 13. It says, thereafter, like at the end of this story, thereafter, Hagar used another name to refer to the Lord who had spoken to her. She said, you are the God who what? Sees me. You are the God who sees me. Okay. And guess what this translates to when you translate it into a name for God in Hebrew? El Roy, the God who sees me. So if you're sitting next to somebody, and a lot of you are, just tell them, turn next to you and tell them, God sees you. God sees you. Okay, you guys were unenthusiastic about it because I'm going to make you do it again. Okay, I want you to turn to the person on your other side, your second choice. And I want you to tell them, God sees you.
God sees you.
There it is. Thank you. And listen, I just want to take a time out today and just remind you, if you feel invisible right now, God sees you. He sees you, okay? No matter how much you're struggling today, God sees you. No matter how alone you feel right now, God sees you. No matter how underappreciated you feel at work or at home or both, God sees you. He sees those early mornings and late nights. He sees your effort. He sees what you're going through. He sees your value. He sees your future. He sees you because he is El Roy, the God who sees us. And so if you're taking notes, you can write this down. A couple ideas today. Number one is this. God sees where you are. He sees where you are. Now, I'm curious. We'll do a little poll. I'm curious where the cheap people are that you choose the streaming plan with commercials to save that $3.99. Let me see your hand. If you're suffering through those commercials, thank you. You are my people, all right? Actually, I think I'm losing money by having to watch commercials. Now, if we save $3.99, that's great. You know what you can do with that $3.99 you're saving every month? Anything you want. You go to Chipotle after church today, get yourself that guacamole, okay? But don't get two guacamoles because you don't got more than $3.99. That's all you're saving by watching the commercials. But I feel like I'm having to spend more money because I'm watching commercials lately. And me and my wife, normally before we go to bed, we watch TV for a little bit. And every single night at like 9 o'clock, the commercials, all we're seeing, maybe you see this too, all we're seeing are food commercials. Like terrible food for you, but that food that just makes you want to like, oh, I want that food. You know what I'm talking about? I'm like, Netflix, why you got to do this to me? And so like one commercial that's been getting me recently is the Applebee's commercial for let's put this on the screen, the OM cheeseburger. Listen, I will walk off the stage right now and walk right over to the neighborhood grill for the OM cheeseburger. And listen, honestly, it doesn't even look that good, but something in me is like, I got to have that. But the commercials that really get me are Taco Bell commercials. Who is weak for Taco Bell? Anybody? Is it just me? Oh my goodness. All right, let me see this. I don't know if you know this, but the Taco Bell that's been closed over here for 27 years, it finally has opened again. And do not lie, because you're in church. How many of you have been to the Taco Bell since it reopened? Thank you. No judgment. So I'm trying my best not to eat fast food anymore. Just try to like not eat it as much maybe as I used to. But I'm weak for Taco Bell. So 2 weeks ago, true story. 2 weeks ago, I got done preaching after the third service, and I was weak after the third service. And I started dreaming about Taco Bell. And this is true. I didn't tell anybody. I left here. I didn't tell my wife. I didn't tell anybody. And I drove straight to Taco Bell. I went through the drive-thru with my black hoodie up. I got 3 very average tacos, okay? But they were delicious, okay? I got these 3 average tacos, and then I pulled into this parking spot that was kind of in a, like, off the beaten path, and I rocked my seat back, and I had those tacos. It was maybe the best day of my year so far. And I was thinking, nobody even knows where I am. Like, I'm a 43-year-old pastor eating Taco Bell under the disguise of my black hoodie. You know what I mean? And then I got a text message. And here is a text message we'll put on the screen. This is Babylicious is my wife, by the way. I'm literally rocked back in my seat with my hoodie up. I'm like, how does she know where I am? So I called Stacy, okay, and I was like, how do you know? And she's like, I always know where you are. I'm like, I got an Apple AirTag in my shoe. Like, I don't know what's happening right now. But apparently, I didn't come home from church when I normally come home from church. So Stacy gets on the Find My app because she cares about me. And she found me. Guess where she found me? At Taco Bell, and texted me right then. But that's sort of a fun way for me to tell you, you know what? God also sees you, and he sees where you are. And I don't mean that in like a creepy sort of stalkerish way, but he sees you because he cares about you. So he knows where you are because he cares about you. And so in this story, we're going to see God see where Hagar is. And so let's look at the beginning of the story. This is down in verse 7. It says, the angel of the Lord, what did the angel of the Lord do? All right, we're going to try this again, 9:45. The angel of the Lord found Hagar beside a spring of water in the wilderness along the road to Shur. The angel said to her, Hagar, Sarai's servant. Now pause. Okay, you're going to see in this story, Sarah's name is Sarai and Abraham's name is Abram. Okay, same people. Okay, just the Bible likes to confuse us sometimes, but these are the same people. Sarah and Sarai, Abraham and Abram. So anyway, let's go back. The angel said to her, Hagar, Sarah's servant, where have you come from and where are you going? She says, I'm running away from my mistress, Sarah, she replied. Now, two kind of fun things I want to point out about this. I personally believe that this angel, the angel of the Lord in this story, I believe it's God himself. Now, you may not believe that. You may have a different opinion of that. That's okay, but I'll show you why I think this at the end of the story. The second thing is when God or an angel, if God or an angel ever says to you, hey, where have you come from? Where you been, bud? Just know. They know. Like they invented the Apple AirTag, okay? And so quick question, why is the angel or God saying, hey, where have you come from, Hagar? Because he cares about her. And so he's like, listen, what are you doing out here in the desert? Walking to Egypt, you are pregnant, Hagar. Like your OBGYN is not going to be psyched about this desert vacation. And if I'm you, I'm kind of wondering like, all right, why is Hagar even in the desert all alone pregnant? Like, how does this even happen? So let me tell you the story. It's a Jerry Springer level story, okay? So prepare yourself. So you have Abraham and you have Sarah. Hagar works for Sarah. You all clear? Abraham and Sarah, they're married. And then Hagar works for Sarah. We're clear? Yes. Okay. So Hagar is pregnant with Abraham's baby. Okay, now let me back up a little bit. All right, so remember, God promised Abraham and Sarah they're going to have a big old family, and 10 years had passed, and nothing had happened. And that Buick wasn't getting any younger, people. And so Sarah came up with this great idea. In her mind, she's like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take my servant, Hagar, and Abraham, how about you sleep with my servant, you get her pregnant, and then when she has that baby, it'll be our baby. What could possibly go wrong? Listen, you thought the Bible was boring. It is crazy town in there, okay? And so this is the Bible's first throuple. And I feel like I should say this because we're at Bay Shore. The Bible is not pro-pineapple, people. This is describing a situation, not prescribing what's okay. Hello. Everybody say describing. Not prescribing. Are we clear? Just feel like I need to put that out there. Okay, and let's be a little sympathetic towards Hagar. I mean, she had no say in this. She's in a horrible position. And there is this love triangle dumpster fire happening. And if you thought the Bible was not relatable, let me show you the marriage fight that Abraham and Sarah have over this whole dumpster fire situation. This is in verses 5-6. Then Sarai said to Abraham, okay, this is all your fault. Oh, come on. Married people, you've been there. Husbands, you've definitely been there. This is all your fault. I put my servant into your arms, but now she's pregnant. She treats me with contempt. The Lord will show who's wrong, you or me. Hello. Listen, when you bust out the God card, you're really in an argument, all right? And so Abraham replied, look, she's your servant, so you deal with her as you see fit. Then Sarai treated Hagar so harshly that Hagar, finally ran away. Listen, I think we could package this up and we could sell this as a script to like Bravo TV. This could be like the Real Housewives of Genesis. And so I'm looking at this week and I'm like, and even last week, because I just read it last week, and I'm like, what are we even supposed to take out of this like dumpster fire of a love triangle story. And here's one takeaway I see, and we'll put this on the screen. We shouldn't take shortcuts to try and get to God's blessings early just because we don't like God's timing. We shouldn't take shortcuts to try and get to God's blessings early just because we don't like God's timing. This is 100% what Abraham and Sarah are doing. They're taking a shortcut. And I got a newsflash. We all take shortcuts. Have you ever tried to take a shortcut in life? Oh yeah, listen, maybe your business is not growing as fast as you want it to grow. And you're like, well, God doesn't want me to have a slow growing business. So I'm going to take a little shortcut here. I'm going to just overcharge old Ethel and Lucy over here because they don't know. Boost that business real quick. Shortcut. Or maybe your business is growing too fast and so's that tax bill. Hello. And you're like, well, God doesn't want me to pay all this money in taxes. So I'm going to just turn the minivan into a business expense. Rocking around the not business, but rocking around the McDonald's with Happy Meal boxes all in the car. And that's a shortcut from the IRS. Or maybe, and this is a step on some toes, okay? Maybe you're single and you are ready to mingle. Come on. They're quiet in the last service too, so let me do it again. Maybe you're single and you're ready to mingle. Come on. Okay, no takers. It's all good. But you're like, I just can't, it's hard out there to find a good Christian guy or a Christian girl. Like, these people don't exist. And so, God, you don't want me to be alone, do you? Okay, you don't. Good, okay. So I'm just going to take a little shortcut and I'm going to just settle for Mr. It could be worse. And you're like, all right, I'll start dating them, and then I'll get them to church, and then, Joel, you get them fixed all up, and then we'll be in God's will. This will all be good. Listen, some of you, that's why you're in church right now. You got drugged to church. Now you're figuring out why. And can that work? Yes, I do not recommend that, all right? I do not recommend taking that shortcut. And here's the thing. I know a little bit about being tempted to take a shortcut in the whole dating area, because when I met my smoking hot wife, Babylicious, Stacy was not a Christian, but you know what she was? Hotter than a bonfire. But I'm telling you, I had this personal conviction when I was 20 years old. I was like, I don't want to just date for fun. That's not what I'm about, okay? Let's date and have fun. That's great, but I want to date to find the one. And so I wanted to date to find somebody who was also a Jesus follower so we could kind of like tackle life together with a line spiritually. And then I met Stacy, and she wasn't a Jesus follower, but she was looking good. And I'm like, Lord, I'm weak. I don't think I can, not pursue this. And then I got to know Stacy's personality, which is even better than her looks. And I'm like, okay, God, I can't take it. We got to take a shortcut here. And so I was like, here's what we're going to do. All right, I'm going to fall in love with her. Obviously, I already am. And then maybe she'll fall in love with me. And then maybe she'll fall in love with you. And we're good, okay? And so God was like, yeah, I ain't going to bless that. And so I did not missionary date Stacy. I did the second best thing. A missionary friended Stacy. And so I just hung out with my friend Stacy, and all I did was talk to Stacy about Jesus. And then I got her a Bible with her name written on the front of the Bible, because that's what friends do, right? Right? And so I got her this Bible. I took her to church. I got her these Christian CDs. I pulled out all the Jesus stops. And Stacy, I remember her saying to me one time, like, yeah, I'm just still not sure about this whole thing. And inside I was like, come on, I can't take it. But outside I was like, oh yeah, it's cool. It's all good. Just slow play this, we'll see. And so one day I remember Stacey come to me and she was like, Joel, I'm ready to accept Jesus. And I had the privilege of leading my wife to Jesus. And 2 seconds after I led her to Jesus, guess who asked her out? Me. And then it was on like Donkey Kong. And not like that. We didn't take that shortcut either. We waited until marriage on that, but then it was on like Donkey Kong. And I 100% believe that God has blessed the socks off of our relationship because we did not take that shortcut. And I've seen it done both ways. I've done it both ways. And we'll show you this. We'll put this on the screen. A recipe for disaster. I've done this. Is to take shortcuts to get to God's blessings early because you don't like God's timing. That is a recipe for disaster. But a recipe for success is to not compromise doing what God says is right while you're waiting on God's timing. And if you notice that sometimes the reason we're not getting the blessing that we want yet is because we can't handle that blessing yet. Oh my goodness, I remember when I became the campus pastor here 13 years ago. I had no idea what I was doing, and there was like 30 people coming to this church, and before the first Sunday, I was like, God, would you just send hundreds, if not thousands of people here for the first Sunday? What was I thinking? And so I remember when we first started, me and my best friend, Bo Dukes, we started praying, God send 100 people to church. God send 100 people to church. And it took a couple years, but a couple years later, 100 people showed up to church here. And we were like, how'd this happen? But thank goodness it didn't happen right away because we were not ready for it. And then we're like, well, what do we do now? So we started praying for 200 people to show up here. And it didn't happen for a couple of years. And then one Easter, 200 people showed up. And me and Bo looked at each other. We're like, how'd this happen? And then we're like, well, thank goodness it didn't happen right away because we're figuring this out as we're building the plane as we fly the plane. And then for our Christmas candlelight services this year, 740 people showed up to church here, which is crazy. And I was standing on the front row. Everybody's having a good time on Christmas Eve. I'm on the front row. There's like so many people. There's people on overflow. And I'm like, what do we do now? Okay, and I certainly wasn't ready for that 13 years ago. I'm still trying to figure out if I'm ready for that now. But sometimes God doesn't give us a blessing we want right now because we're not ready to carry that blessing. And so be careful what you ask for and be patient. And if right now you're looking for God to bless your business or your career or your dating life or married life or money or, whatever it is, you fill in the blank. Just so you know, my hope is that God blesses the socks off of you in those areas. But I just want to also give you an alternate view that sometimes we don't get that blessing we want yet because we're not ready to carry the weight of that yet. So be patient. Don't take shortcuts to compromise what God wants you to do. And just remember, God sees where you are. And he sees what you are going through because he is El Roy, the God who sees us. And then here's the second idea, if you're taking notes, is God sees where you're going. God sees where you're going. Now, my brother and sister-in-law, they live super close to Stacy and I. In fact, we live in different neighborhoods, but our neighborhoods are so close, they touch. And they connect to each other, which we love because we have kids and they have kids. And so our kids are able to ride each other's bikes back and forth to each other's houses. And we're trying to recreate that 1980s kids experience the best we can for our kids. And so we're like, kids, go out there and scrape your knees, ride your bikes, find snakes. If the HOA president sees you, don't tell them where your parents are or where you live and run. And we just want them to have a great time. And we love that we're close together. And so we have an older picture of Jack, Nixon's cousin, and my boy Nixon. And look, there's a snake. I told you, we're like, get the snakes. All right, I don't want to touch it. But these kids love each other. They were at each other's house last night. They're just super close. And so anyway, the other day I was talking to Nixon, and Nixon happened to say, he was like, hey, Dad, when I was in the golf pro shop in our neighborhood the other day. Now, I'm thinking, wait. When you were in the golf pro shop in the neighborhood the other day, I've only taken you in there one time, and that was 5 years ago. What are you even talking about? And so he could see the look on my face, he was like, I let something slip. I'm like, you got to spill the beans now, buddy. And so he's like, okay, Dad, well, sometimes I go in the golf pro shop, and he said, don't worry, I know the manager of the golf pro shop really well. I'm like, you know the manager of the golf pro shop? And he's like, well, yeah, me and Jack go in there. And he's like, listen, don't get mad, Dad, because I'm trying to get in with the manager because I want to sell him used golf balls. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Long story short, Nixon and Jack, when they go back and forth to each other's houses, they take pit stops onto the golf course and they go into the woods and they get off the golf balls that you all are hitting in the woods. And Nixon at nighttime, while I'm sleeping, puts all these used golf balls in his bathroom sink, cleans them all up because his dream is to sell them back to the golf pro shop manager to make money. And I'm like, yeah. So he tells me this. I'm like, are you working me right now? Because that's pretty entrepreneur of you. And then he said, yeah, well, the manager likes it, so I think he might buy them because we always buy energy drinks from him. And I'm like, okay. I'm going to take out the Apple AirTag in my shoe and put it in your shoe so I know where you're going. But apparently when they go back and forth to each other's houses, what I didn't know is I didn't know where they've been going. They've been making a pit stop in the golf pro shop and getting to know the manager. Anyway, that's sort of my fun way to tell you that when it comes to Hagar, God was never caught off guard where she was at. He never was like, I don't know where Hagar is or where she is. He never lost track of where Hagar was going. And so back to the story, you have Hagar, and she's in a bad situation, okay? She's alone. She's pregnant. She's in this desert. She's not done anything wrong. Everything is going wrong. And so, quick question. If she had lost all hope for her future, would you blame Hagar? No. Okay. But cue the angel, who I think is God himself. And so we're going to look at verses 9 through 10. it says this, and this is when Hagar was in a moment where she had no hope for where she was going. The angels of the Lord said to her, return to your mistress. That's Sarah. Return to her and submit to her authority. Then he added, I will give you more descendants than you can count. Now, I want to break this into two. This second part here that I put in bold, this is good news for Hagar. This means this is what every girl in her generation dreamed of, having a giant family. And so what this implies is Hagar has a good future. Is that true? Okay, this is good. That's good. The first part of this, however, that I did not put in bold, not good. This is scary. It's like, oh yeah, go back to old lost her ever loving mind Sarah, who is crazy. And so this week I'm like, what am I even supposed to get out of this? What are we supposed to learn from this? And here's what I think. I think sometimes we think God's blessing is to just get us out of a hard situation right now. We're like, God, I'll be okay if you just make the hard stuff in my life go away. But sometimes we find God's greatest blessings while staying in the hard place. Sometimes we find God's greatest blessings by staying in the hard place. Because what if you'll find God's blessings by staying and not running from your marriage when it's hard? What if you'll find God's blessings by staying and not running from your family when they are acting crazier than the Real Housewives of Genesis? What if you'll find God's blessings by staying and not running from our church when there's something we do here that you don't love? What if you'll find God's blessings by staying and not running when you're in recovery and it's hard? What if you'll find God's blessings by staying and not running from that job, even though you never feel appreciated there? And what if you find God's blessings by staying and not running to the first breathing person you can find when you're single and lonely? Because sometimes we find God's greatest blessings while staying in the hard place. Now let's go back to Hagar. She stays. And because she stays, she finds out a blessing that she's able to carry with her for the rest of her life. And this is in verse 13. It says this. It says, thereafter, at the end of this whole crazy mess, Hagar used another name to refer to the Lord who had spoken to her. By the way, this is why I think it was God who spoke to her, not an angel, because she said it was the Lord who spoke to her. And she said, you are the God who sees me. And Hagar is the one who introduces us to the God who sees us. And she does it when she is weak because she found strength in him. And she found out she's going to be okay, even though she didn't feel like she was okay. And maybe you feel weak right now. And maybe you're in a dark place right now. And I just want to tell you, God sees you. He is your strength when you are weak. And he will carry you through and you're going to be okay. Now, if you kind of know about my backstory, I've never shied away from this. From 2011 to 2013, I knew about being in a dark place. I went through a depression for 2 years, and I don't lie about that here. We don't hide the fact that I struggle with mental health. It's just part of who I am. And what I think is interesting is if you look at Hagar a few chapters from now, if you fast forward to further into Genesis, we see her again, and she's in an even worse place, and she says, I'm ready to give up. And when somebody has struggled with mental health like I have, when you read that in the Bible, you kind of lean in and you're like, oh, she's in a bad place. I know what that's like to be in a bad place. I was never in a place where I wanted to give up, but I was in a place where I had no hope for my future. And during that time, I held on to a verse. It's Isaiah 41:10, and I repeated it every single day for 2 years. And I've carried it around with me every single day for the last 15 years in my wallet. And Isaiah 41:10 says, so do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. That is my life verse. Because when I was not okay, I was like, God, I need to be okay. I need to find my strength. And I would just repeat that verse. And I would think, okay, but I don't really know if I have hope for my future. And then that verse would come to my mind. And I would know like, hey, I'm not okay, but I'm going to be okay. Why? Because he's El Roy. He sees me. He sees where I am right now, and he sees what I'm going through. And when I am weak, he is strong, so I'm going to be okay. And so are you. You're going to be okay. Now, I don't want to end on that story. I want to end by kind of switching gears a little bit and giving you a little insight to being a pastor. By the time the third service starts today, I'm going to be cooked. I'm going to be wiped out. Like when the third service starts, I'm normally on the front row, like somebody give me a couch or give me some Taco Bell or give me a 5-hour energy drink from the Golf Pro Shop or something. And maybe you think like, oh, it probably doesn't take much energy to preach. And oh, buddy, for me, it does. And maybe I'm just being a baby. I don't know. But when that third service starts and the music starts, I'm normally like, I don't think I can do it. I think maybe we'll just do an open mic. Just open it up. And then I look at the people in this third service and I'm like, we can't do that. Can't do an open mic today. But when the music starts, and I love our band. I mean, doesn't our band do amazing? I'm so thankful for the band. When the music starts in the third service, I'm normally right here, and I'm like, my voice is cooked. I'm eating cough drops. My energy is cooked. I don't know where I am. I'm thinking about, is John Harbaugh really the coach for the New York Giants now and not the Ravens? Am I hallucinating? Like, what is happening? But then I'll start saying, God, I'm weak. I need your strength. Come on, God, help me. I know you see me. I know you see where I am and where I've been and where I'm going. I need you to help me get up on that stage. And I'm not kidding. Every single Sunday, by the time the last song that the band plays gets done, I'm on this front row, like unbuckling my seatbelt, like, come on, let's go. I'm going to run up on that stage. Give me the mic. These people, they're not ready for third service Joel. Third service Joel is a little bit unhinged. You think this is unhinged? You should wait to the third service. But anyway, God has always shown up. And he's always given me strength. And let me just tell you, maybe you're tired right now. Maybe you're in a dark place right now, and you don't know where you're going. And here's what I want you to hear today. God knows where you are right now. He knows what you're going through right now. He knows where you are heading right now. And he sees you. He sees you because he is El Roy, the God who sees us, which means you're going to be okay. And I wrote this down this week. He sees you when you're depressed. He sees you when you're worried about the bad decisions your kids are making. He sees you when you're struggling with what to do next. He sees you when your bank account is in the red. He sees you when your family drama looks like the Jerry Springer Show. Come on. He sees you when people mistreat you and stab you in the back. He sees you when you're praying and nothing is happening. He sees you when you got tears in your eyes. He sees you when you're not sleeping at night. He sees you when you're being the parent you never had and breaking generational family curses. He sees you when you're fighting that addiction. He sees you when you keep being patient with that family member who's caught up in the disease of addiction. He sees you keep showing up to church, and he sees your faith is weak because you're leaning on him to be your strength. He sees you. He sees you. And Hagar, who is in a terrible place, is the one who introduces us to God as El Roy, the God who sees us, which means you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay.